Good morning, boys and girls. I'm happy to see you. Today, we're going to talk about some things that I expect you'll be doing every day during reading workshop. So let's think about how do we get better at doing things like playing sports or playing an instrument. How do we get better at painting a picture? How do we get better at reading? Well, today we're going to be learning some of the rituals that we'll be using to become better readers during the school year. Rituals, what does that mean? Well, rituals are things that you do over and over again to help you get better at something. So some of the things we'll be doing this year, we'll be doing read alouds, and we'll have book talks, and that's where we'll talk about interesting things we read in the book. We'll also be having mini lessons, which is what I'm doing right now with you. I'm giving you a little mini lesson. We're also going to be doing individual reading, where you'll be reading independently, and we'll get into small groups sometimes, and we'll do guided reading lessons, which I'm sure other teachers have done with you. But this time it's going to be a little different because we're online, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later when we get to that point. And we're going to do other learning activities. So when we meet for the first part of reading workshop, we're going to have to remember to be good listeners. And one of the things we're going to do is we are going to use, if you see on the board behind me, it says SLANT, slant. We're going to use that to help us to remember how to be good listeners. Okay, so I'm going to go over each one of these letters stands for something, and we're going to talk about what each letter stands for. This is how to be good listeners during a read aloud or a mini lesson, or really anytime your teacher is talking. Okay, so let's look at the first letter. The first letter is S, and S stands for sit up and sit still. So we're going to write that: sit up and sit still. So we should be sitting nicely, not wiggling around, trying our best just to stay calm and sit nicely. Okay? The next letter we have would be L. L stands for look at the speaker. At the speaker. So right now, I am the speaker, so all of your eyes should be on me when I'm talking, okay? So far we have sit up and sit still and look at the speaker. All right, and the next letter we have is A. A stands for ask questions. So we'll write that here. Whoops. Ask questions. Okay, now I just want you to know that doesn't mean in the middle of listening to a story or a lesson you should just blurt out. Okay, we wait until the speaker is done speaking maybe, or we could just quietly raise our hand. Okay, but remember, if you have something you're thinking in your head, remember that question when it's appropriate to ask questions. Okay, that's how we learn new things, by asking questions. All right, then we have N. All right, N means to nod occasionally to let me know or the speaker know that you're still listening or you're still with us. So by that, you might be sitting and you might be listening and you might like that, just to know you're with me, to know that you are listening to what I'm saying, okay? Does that make sense? All right, so let's write that down. Nod. Remember, and I said nod is just shaking your head up and down like that, okay? Nod occasionally, and that means once in a while. You don't have to nod the whole time. Just occasionally let the reader know, or the teacher, whoever's giving you instruction, that you're listening. A little nod, okay? So nod. Nod occasionally. to let the speaker know you are listening. Whoops, I'm running out of room a little bit. Okay, all right, and last we have T, okay? T. Now T stands for track with your eyes. So track with your eyes would mean that you are following along. If it's something's projected on the screen, maybe you're following along with your eyes as somebody's reading what might be on the screen. Or if I'm holding up a book and you can track along that way, that's good too. All right, or maybe you have your own book and I'm reading out of a book, and so you will be tracking along and following along with your eyes, okay? So we'll put that down for T, and that is track with your eyes. All right. So this is one of the ways, or not one of the ways, actually it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways that you can be a good listener. It's called SLANT. And we're going to read over one more time before we go what SLANT stands for. S stands for sit up and sit still. L, look at the speaker. A, ask questions. Remember, don't just blurt out, but if you have a question, keep it in your head, okay? And at the appropriate time, please ask, because asking questions helps you learn. Nod occasionally to let the speaker know that you're listening, okay? That's nodding, making your head go up and down. And track with your eyes. And like I said, if you have something to follow along with, you should be tracking with your eyes as I'm reading aloud. Or if you're reading something on the screen, the same thing. Okay, so in a little bit, I'm going to meet you live in Google Classroom, and I'm going to do a read aloud, and we're going to practice using SLANT to be good listeners. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.